Sure how to scale your SaaS business, use engineering principles to find the only single action that will move the needle. In the next 5 minutes, I'll show you how to use engineering principles to identify the single constraint that's holding back your SaaS growth, so you can focus your efforts where they will have the biggest impact. Drop me a line below and I will DM you my SaaS constraint analysis toolkit to help you pinpoint your SaaS bottlenecks. I'm Jean-Michel Moreau, and I help SaaS CEOs unlock product growth using a scientific approach to advertising and marketing. With 20 years of experience in tech, including roles such as Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Product Officer, I have developed the massive feedback method to help CEOs grow and scale faster. So in every single episode, you're going to get something that you can immediately implement so that you can scale and exit faster. You want to scale your SaaS business efficiently, and you want to maximize your growth potential. You can't do that if you're not focused on the maximum leverage points of effort in your business. So if you're tired of throwing resources and feeling scattered amongst many different projects as a SaaS founder or CEO, and you're hoping something will stick, it's expensive and time consuming, and you're just wasting your time. There's only one thing that actually matters at any given time. So instead of spreading yourself thin, we're going to use engineering principles to identify the most important constraint in your SaaS business. And once we find it, you'll know exactly where to focus the maximum amount of resources that you can to remove that bottleneck. So this is a more advanced topic that I use with clients after they've got their basic acquisition set up. Then we work on scaling. Trying to improve everything at once is not only inefficient, but it's counterproductive. In the theory of constraints, popularized by the book The Goal, it teaches us that focusing on anything other than the main constraint will not improve the system's overall performance. Let's go to the whiteboard and break this down. So step number 1 is to map your business. And we have a map right here, and that creates a simple flow diagram of your business from user acquisition to retention. So let's take a look at this diagram. This is rather typical for a sophisticated digital marketing setup. So I will break it down really briefly. Over here, we have the video path, right? So we're scripting, filming, editing, getting feedback from the editors on videos. We're testing videos, and finally we have good videos, right? For ads, we have ideas turning into content to testing. We also have to add money, and then we have ads. The ads either get you an opt-in or a direct sale right away. And then from the opt-in, there's this big post opt-in follow-up sequence. It's all the work you do. Once you have the leads, what do you do to make sure that they're still interested in your SaaS? So we've got your funnel pages. Maybe you have a second page afterward, making another offer. Maybe you call them, maybe you email them, maybe you retarget them. So that's this. Maybe some of your videos, you send them directly to DMs, and that also gets you bookings for demos, right? Then when you have people in your demos, only a certain amount of them are qualified. And then you want them to show up to the demos, right? You want to confirm them, you have shows, and finally you make sales, and you have closes. Maybe you don't have closes, so then you have to follow up. And then from your closes, you're going to get referrals from your customers, and that kind of loops back. The question is, where's the constraint? At any one point, you have a kink in the hose. If you have a kink in the hose right here, right exactly here, and you try and solve something way downstream, you're wasting your time. Once that changes, you shift all the reasonable resources that you can to the next constraint. So we're going to use 2 different methods to find what's the constraint. One is a more scientific method where we'll plug in numbers and calculate the system reliability if we change different component reliabilities. And 2, we'll do the quick and dirty method. So let me start with the science one. So if these are all components, you can multiply the reliabilities together to get the overall system reliability, right? And I'm going to use actual numbers just for fun. I'll use the numbers for my business. So opt-in rate, 20%. And then people who ever opt in, how many of them book a call? 20%. Okay. How many of those leads? How many people who book calls are qualified? 57%. How many people who are qualified that I let continue on, confirm, and actually show up? 87%. Okay. How many people do I actually sell? 13%. Then go down here. How many people get referrals? 7%. So you should have all these numbers for your business, right? If in this business, where should you focus? So to do the math, you would multiply these numbers together. You could say, hypothetically, if I move this to 21%, what would it look like? If I move this a little bit up, you look at these different scenarios, and if you play around, you'll find the thing that is the most downstream, basically the lowest number, is your easiest thing to improve, as long as it's not maxed out. So for this business, sales would be where you would focus. You wouldn't focus on improving all the other problems. Businesses have problems everywhere. You wouldn't focus on fixing those. You'd focus here. And something a little bit more advanced, you notice that these are all in parallel. Somebody who opts in, they do see the funnel page, they do get a phone call, they do get an email, they do get retargeted. So there's actually a more advanced formula that you could use to calculate this exactly. But you can also just figure out how many people who opted in actually booked a call and stick the number in. Depends on how detailed you need to go to solve your problem. Sometimes this is enough. Now, let's do method 2, the quick and dirty method. We're just going to rate each component on a scale of 1 to 10 for its current potential impact. If I think about ads, I'm going to say my ads are okay. They're pretty good. So I'm going to say 8 out of 10. Okay. Then the lander for opt-in, I would say it's 9 out of 10. I can think of some things. The funnel pages, I don't like them exactly. I don't feel like they're the right feel for who I would like to talk to. A little bit too internet marketing. I'm going to say a 5 out of 10. Call process, 7 out of 10. Emails, 2 out of 10. Retargeting, 7 out of 10. DMs, 1 out of 10. Qualified, I'm just thinking about the benchmarks in the industry, like what's reasonable for qualified. I will say this is 6 out of 10. So what is this overall? I know it's 20% overall. It's pretty good overall. I'll say overall, I'm just gonna give it 6 out of 10. You could do this math, but if you're gonna be quick and dirty, just say this overall, everything here. What is it? Confirmation process is like pretty on point. Sales, I'm gonna say 5 out of 10. You can do the same thing very quickly and just see, okay, which one is the farthest, is the lowest that's in a series. It's this one. For another business, it could be the ads or it could be the follow-up. Very common situation is a company gets ads to work, but their ROAS isn't high enough because the follow-up isn't. So these are just examples of how you can identify exactly where the constraint is. Once you found it, you would zoom in. What are all the components of the sales process? And you can break it down there. So step number 3 is we would focus on the constraint that we've identified as the main constraint. Remember, improving anything else won't actually impact your overall system performance. So all of your other plans, your big things you set for the year, they're not important if the constraint is somewhere else. So if you want to do this analysis in just 30 minutes, drop me a line below and I will DM you my constraint analysis toolkit. There's no email required. And that toolkit is going to include templates for mapping your business, formulas for calculating the system reliability, and basically a decision-making matrix to help you identify your main constraint. And that's designed to help you pinpoint your SaaS bottlenecks in record time